Howdy kids. So we're gonna do a quick little thing on the second industrial revolution and give you some more background into why I have dubbed it and others have dubbed it Ellicott City, that is, I'm sorry, the Ellicott City area, as the home of the second industrial revolution. You know, that title, you know, that accolade could be somewhat up for debate, but let me get into these signs here. So this is Owella conquering the 9-mile hill. Ellicott brothers constructed what became the first leg of the Baltimore and Fredericktown Turnpike to get their flour to market in Baltimore. By 1787, they cut a new road east through the forest to shorten the trip to the city. This road became part of the national road system in 1806. Travelers on the turnpike faced the steep grade 9 miles west of Baltimore. They had to conquer the hill using numerous switchbacks as they ascended from the Patapsco River Valley. As the road passed the Owella toll house and descended into the valley, it reached the 1770s flour mill built by John and George Ellicott. Their first mill was where the large concrete structure now stands across the road. The nearby stone house was once the home of George Ellicott. So directly across the street, unfortunately, they are turning the flour mill, and it's not, you know, it wasn't in the original shape before, but now the refurbished flour mill is being turned into apartments. So yay. And way down there you can see the old stone house. Quickly on Benjamin Banneker, guys, because he's kind of not part of the story of the Industrial Revolution, but important to the area. So African-American mathematician and astronomer Benjamin Banneker was a renowned man of science. Famous for helping the Ellicott brothers survey the site of the national capital in 1791 and corresponding with Thomas Jefferson, Banneker is pictured on the cover of his 1795 almanac. He lived in Owella and is remembered at the nearby Benjamin Banneker Historical Museum and Park. So that's some pretty cool history for you guys. I mean, a lot of you might know that he's from Maryland, but he is literally from this very area that we're in right now. By the way, so Ellicott City literally is across the river, Patapsco River, and just across that bridge there. If we're speaking literally, right now we're at the edge of Owella. So moving on, a little more on Owella. This sign says, up this one, and there's going to be a lot of glare. Up this winding road lies the village of Owella. A world apart, Owella is a time capsule of vanishing Americana. Here was the first manufacturing company ever chartered by the state of Maryland. The year was 1808, and this surprised me. For a brief period, the Union Manufacturing Company was the largest cotton mill in America. So that kind of surprised me, guys, because, you know, as I've said, most of the cotton mills were up north. We're kind of, you know, in the border state hinterlands, right? And as we know, that it's not that there were no cotton mills in the south, but very, very few compared to the north. And also I've gone over, you know, a bit in my Patapsco Valley State Park videos on some of the former ghost towns and stuff, and mentioned and shown you guys some other sites where there were other mills and such. And I just think it's a really cool history, but it's not just local history. This history is really particular to the building of America. So capitalizing on the immense power of the Patapsco River with the longest mill race serving a single mill, workers lived, worked, played, worshipped, shopped, and socialized with one another within the confines of the village, entirely owned by the mill company. Again, as I've said in some of my videos, if you want to scroll back to maybe I'll try to link some of them. There's just a little more background on the on what happened with the some of the buildings in the neighborhood. Finally, guys, here's the a sign from the Maryland Historical Trust. Ellicott's Mills, established in 1772 by the 3 Ellicott brothers from Bucks County, Pennsylvania. They opened the road from here to Baltimore. The B&O Railroad was completed to this point May 20th, 1830. So again, I've gone over a lot of this with you guys. I mean, I know some have just joined in. I will try to remember to link some of the videos I've done on the Patapsco River area as industrialization began, as well as some of the videos that I've done over at the B&O Railroad Museum, which is right across the street, right across the bridge there. But just a really great history, I think, in my opinion. As I've mentioned countless times, it is my belief that the second industrial revolution in America had a lot to do with the Civil War. It was a struggle, you know, it was a struggle between North and South, obviously, but it just was not over just slavery. It was over capitalism, it was over property rights, it was over industrialization, and it was over who would control the future of the economy. And quite obviously, the North preferred that the control would remain in the North as soon as they started industrializing, and were thus able to wipe their hands clean of the stain of slavery, because they had simply finished with it and finished with its use before the South had. And once slavery was abolished after the Civil War, as we all know, guys, it's not just that, you know, the South was backwards and they didn't want to industrialize, they were prevented from industrializing, and that all needs to be taken into consideration. Anyhow, guys, I guess, you know, that's mostly what I want to say. There's a lot more to the story, but again, I'll post some of the old videos so that you guys can have a fuller picture of what this all entails. But again, I've mentioned before that I'm not a big fan of the politics of this town these days, but I still think it's worth you guys stopping by and making a little day trip of. You can go for a great walk, hike, bike ride on the trolley trail back there, as the sign, you know, alluded to, the road that they cut through headed east. You can actually, you can kayak, you can take a big inner tube down the Patapsco if you feel like it. I mean, because we're in the summer now, and like I said, it is getting hot. And of course, you can head on into Old Ellicott City, do some dining, some shopping. I always highly recommend the B&O Railroad Museum. It's great. It's, I think, free throughout the week, but there's a chance that there may be a very small fee on the weekends. But the good part of that is you can get I believe you can get a docent, you can get a tour of the place. It's not a tiny museum, it's not big, but it's not tiny.
But then he goes away.
And there's still a lot of charm to it, guys. You know, a lot of historic buildings around here. Of course, most of which have been shaped up to some degree, but many original foundations and a little bit of original stonework if you look close. And we'll just cut the tape here. Here's part of the museum. I'll see you guys later.